Hello, I'm Ilkka Tengvall, Solution Architect from Red Hat, Finland. Today I'm going to talk to you about continuous delivery, this hybrid cloud pattern which we have called multi-cloud GitOps. The idea we are going through today is how to deliver everything as a code, how to define the deliveries as a code and make sure that it keeps automatically being delivered across the remote clusters, no matter where the application is wanted to be run at. Let's say you want your applications to be run in local data center or public cloud or remote data center, or variety of different mixes or combinations of these. It doesn't matter from this architecture point of view. So we look how to push applications, configurations and secrets to autonomous environments which keep refreshing the application, keeping it up to date by itself. All the time maintaining change history for audit logging, and the application becomes self-healing. Should it somehow be broken at some point of time somewhere, it automatically heals itself. This is one part of the hybrid cloud patterns, which we have in you will see the link at the bottom of the page. We have these three patterns there at the moment for the infra. There is also several patterns for application layouts on the application level, but let's look at these, and today we concentrate on the multi-cloud GitOps. You can see this web page from the link below. It mainly consists of 4 different steps. It's easy. First, you create or you enhance your code as a designer here on the left side. You design the application, and you or your colleague designs the infrastructure for it and puts it into code. The second step is you upload that code into version control, Git in this case. So let's say you put it into private Git or GitLab, GitHub, whatever you have there for version control in your use. The third step is you configure Automation Hub, which is kind of management cluster for OpenShift environments. So you have one OpenShift environment running these automation tools. We call it Automation Hub in this case. It's configured to follow that version control configurations. And the fourth step is you apply these configurations, or the Automation Hub pushes it to all the remote clusters you decided to have it at. So it pushes the configurations to remote clusters, and they themselves afterwards independently pull all the configs from version control and keep following them and apply the settings into local clusters. And thus your application gets delivered to all these different places you wish to have it, and it maintains the configuration you set up in the version control. Should you change anything in the Git, in the version control, the clusters will follow and locally apply the changes automatically. So what are the business drivers? Again, we want to unify the management. Having different clouds, they all behave the same no matter where the application is wanted to be run. You can dynamically control the security of the systems, so you can have all the certificates, private keys and passwords, whatever, being delivered in a secure way to different environments. And like I said, it's continuous delivery. So how is this set up? I'll just briefly go through that different stages, how the automation is built up. So first of all, also the automation is automated. So we write up everything in the Helm. So the hybrid cloud patterns has this Helm defined charts for setting up the automation hub. That sets up the first level of ArgoCD, which is OpenShift GitOps. It uses ArgoCD. It installs Advanced Cluster Manager. It installs Hashicorp Vault for secrets handling, and then it installs some demos into the first level environment to this automation hub. Then this automation hub is set up and it installs the local tools, the projects we want to have at the management cluster, ACM, Vault and ArgoCD. It looks like this in the local ArgoCD view. And then we go for the managed cluster setup. So these are the remote clusters now. So we set up yet another level of ArgoCD for each individual remote cluster, we drop the next level of ArgoCD, which is the automation tool, and set it up to follow the Git configs as we saw in this picture. So it follows the step 2, the version control, in the locations of step 4, these remote clusters, and sets up the applications into those regional clusters. Here we see that we have one application in this hybrid cloud patterns called config demo for the application setup. So it sets up a simple application with a secret. And then I added here this LDAP sync for infrastructure management. So there are kind of 2 levels of automation. We want to have the applications and then the infrastructure. And this infrastructure model sets up AD authentication for given cluster. And how it's built up, it consists of 5 steps in this in this example here. So first we load from Ansible Vault and from Git repository all the secrets and configurations to Red Hat Advanced Cluster Manager in the hub. The second step is the hub uses secret management, this external secret management operator, to get secret from Hashicorp Vault and drop it to the management hub into given project. So we have a local copy of this secret from Hashicorp Vault. The third step is ACM, Advanced Cluster Manager, sets up the remote cluster. It sets it up first with GitOps ArgoCD, which then starts locally managing the cluster. It's given the Git repository address. It pulls the config from there and sets up the applications. In this case, the application is the LDAP Authentication with a cron job control to upgrade the groups from LDAP periodically. So it drops some configurations. It creates a couple of namespaces. It drops the configurations into the namespaces and tells the external secret management agent at the cluster to fetch the secret from the hub and push it to both of these projects here. So we have this secret management, which is then securely taking the secret from the Hashicorp Vault via the hub to the remote cluster. So important to note here is that even though we have all the configurations in the Git repository version control, still secrets are handled secretly in the kind of separate bus. And then everything is set up at the remote cluster, and OpenShift starts to talk to this LDAP server. In this case, Red Hat IDM in our lab. It could be Microsoft AD for you probably. And how does this look like from the kind of operator visibility point of view? So now we go to this Advanced Cluster Manager and we can see the cluster. We can connect all the clusters we have to this ACM. And the ACM will show you the status like you see on the left top picture here of the clusters, the overall status, and then you can go to the individual clusters on the bottom picture. So let's look at this Red Hat OCP1 cluster at the bottom. It has 2 labels. I have labeled it to be part of region 1 zone, and I have also labeled it to have LDAP authentication true. And that's enough to tell that this cluster is needed to be set up with these applications, this config demo application and LDAP authentication. That's all. I, as a cluster admin, put these 2 labels, and there the applications and configurations will go to that cluster. And if we want to take the application level view from the ACM, we can see that the applications are visible also from this hub, from the very same interface. And we can see all the statuses, how the configurations are doing. Is there configuration drift or anything? Or is it everything is fine and up to date? And this is the local cluster view. If you would be sitting at the remote cluster somewhere and looking locally from the OpenShift GitOps tool, you would see this from the ArgoCD, how the application is doing within that cluster. But this only sees that given cluster. This is for the config demo. You can see all the image streams, deployments, routes, services, all the Kubernetes objects, and eventually you will see the application having 2 replicas running. Now we have a demo. I'll show you a little bit in the second part how this looks like in real life. So from these hybrid cloud patterns, we are going to look at this GitOps and specifically LDAP authentication, and in this case. So again, we went through this process, how it sets up things. then we can see here a few things we need to set it up in the Git. So we need to tell, for example, what namespaces, so OpenShift projects we create, and which ArgoCD project we create. And then we list that this is the application we want to have installed. We also tell the secret, which this Helm chart, or actually this system will set up into Hashicorp Vault. And here we tell that, okay, this is the part telling that we want to go and fetch that secret from the Hashicorp and put it into local secret file. And then we also tell that we want to fetch this bind password secret and put it into this project, this secret with the same name from the hub. All right, so let's look a little bit what this code looks like. The code is actually in here. This is my fork. This is the original one, which I took. And if you develop these things, you take a fork of this Git repository, like I did here. So I took this original one from the hybrid cloud patterns and forked it and created my own branch called CoolLab, because we have this lab for our use. We named it CoolLab. I added here in charts all this LDAP sync. The config demo is here. It defines the application, which we will see soon. It sets up application, some configurations for it, and also secret for it, services and route and such things. This is for the application demo, and then we have this LDAP sync for infrastructure demo. This is the part I added here, which again, same thing. It adds config maps. It does all kinds of things described in the OpenShift manual, and it also sets up this secrets, which I showed on the web page. This is actually a policy for ACM to push the secret all over the clusters we want it to be at. All right, so that's that part. Let's go to the ACM now. So this is now the advanced cluster manager. It shows you how the different clusters are doing. At this moment, I only have in my demo environment this ACM, this hub cluster, this management cluster, and then I have one remote cluster for this demo purposes. So here we could see the individual clusters. I could go and look at my cluster here. It's called Red Hat OCP 1. It has the addresses and such things. And what's important here is, let's go back. We'll see that I have applied 2 labels for it. Okay, the first label is that, okay, this cluster is part of region 1 and should have all the applications we have defined for region 1 and also the configurations. Additionally, I have added a label that also copy the LDAP authentication secret. For my own purposes to study, I added such label for it. Then we could also see this application set up here, that what all applications we have set up. So the config demo is here. Again, LDAP sync is here, both the application and the infrastructure kind of setup. And here I can drill down more that what are the components being delivered by each application. And this is now the viewpoint from, for example, from this advanced cluster manager. But if we want to take like deeper look at it, we could go and see all these things in this management cluster, how they look at the management cluster. And also we can see the ArgoCD, how it shows that it has set up all the things. What's the state of ACM, for example? It's the ArgoCD that initially installed this ACM among the other applications like Vault and these demos. That's kind of the ArgoCD for the hub cluster. And then this is something extra. Okay, someone else has added stuff in here. Also, there are other applications and demos set up for this multi-cloud GitOps operator hub here. We have set up the Vault here. If I go, we have the secret here, the bind password, the very secret here. I'm not going to show it to you, but this is the source of all the secrets now in this demo environment. This Hashicorp Vault, where we copy all the secrets to the remote clusters. And now this is the remote cluster. See, this is the Red Hat OCP 1. If I would be infra person or developer, I would see this as if I had access only to the remote cluster. I can see the projects here. We have the config demo. And if I would look the resources of this demo, I could see there's one route. I could click for this route and see that, okay, the application is responding and it's having a secret, which is like this. The demo's purpose, it shows the secret, which is configured in the cluster. All these things are set up now by this definitions in the Git, pushed by ArgoCD into the local cluster. Then if I go further in the local cluster, I could look at this ArgoCD showing local applications. Now in this remote cluster, actually now you can see how this LDAP sync works. My login has timed out. So now this LDAP sync is pushed into the remote cluster. I can just log in using my IDM Red Hat Identity Management credentials. I get into this application. I can see that, okay, in this remote cluster, we only have config demo and LDAP sync. So both application level automation and infra level automation. Again, if we drill down, I go to config demo. I could look at the, where is the route now? Here. I could find the route actually from here also. So I could go and see this local address. How does it look like in this cluster? Note that in this cluster, the address has been applied to reflect that we are not in the management cluster. Now we are in this remote cluster. And I see again that this time I can see the route in here, for example. I can see all the different resources of this application. They would be now applied to according to this remote host compared to what it was at the management cluster. We can also see that, okay, here's the LDAP project, LDAP sync, and the resources of it we are running. For example, we have 6 config maps in here. We have, for example, certificate to authenticate securely to Red Hat IDM. So this is how it shows in the local remote cluster. And again, if I would look this stuff from the command line, I have both the original and the upstream, like my personal copy of this multi-cloud GitOps stuff, and also the upstream from the hybrid cloud guys. So here, if I look at the values, global, for example, I would see the LDAP configurations in here. If I would look values hub, I see everything related to hub, how the hub is configured. We can see the project it sets up, the LDAP sync, the config demo and such things. We can also see the vault in here and the application specific variables. And I could also look at this values region 1, for example, whatever clusters we label as region 1, they would get these applications with these variables we set in here or in the global ones. And then I have this, if I look at the values, I have this secret, which I'm not going to show it to you, but that contains my LDAP bind password, which goes now into the vault then. And this whole thing is run by this make file. I could do like a make install to get this, or unseal the vault. It's enough to do this. All the magic happens in the make file. There is actually a lot of Ansible behind this also. That's pretty much it. So here we see how this whole thing is set up. And you can view all these remote clusters, no matter where they are, from one single point of view. Everything is standardized, automated, and done according to what Git says. This concludes my demo now. Thank you.